The last tab is the Xilinx specific options. The Add I/O Buffer option allows the synthesis tool to insert I/O pins on your design. This is used when you are synthesizing the top level of your design. The Max Fanout and Register Duplication options I mentioned earlier, that I don't recommend those options. The problem is that synthesis tools will replicate any net that has a high fanout, and this is not necessarily going to improve a timing critical path. It also can have significant impact on the size of your design, so I recommend replicating logic manually. The equivalent register removal option is good unless you have duplicated resources and not use the keep attribute to prevent the removal, so use it appropriately. Register balancing, I spoke about this option earlier and its caveats. Moving flip-flops allows the tools to know when you want to move registers forward or backward in a pipeline stage, if you have activated register balancing. Packing registers into IOBs is generally recommended since most designers plan on registering the inputs and outputs to their FPGA design. However, sometimes this can promote a long routing delay in your design if any of your logic has been placed to a specific location or area constraint on the die. So if you've done that, particularly if you've used area constraints, just make certain your I/O pins, and if they're using those registers, are placed relatively near where you expect those area constraints to be placed. And those are the most important synthesis options. If it all seems confusing, use just the options I've described and then experiment. Most application engineers would say, well, you can try this and try that. And you really shouldn't be too afraid, but I always tell people, start with this and go from there. Understand that your results might vary some, so keep in mind that your coding style, pipeline stages, and good synchronous design practices are more important to generating an optimal result than your synthesis options. Now let's wrap up this module with a summary. First of all, your HDL coding style will affect your synthesis results and your overall design speed, so your coding style is preeminent, so make sure you check out those RELs. Infer resources whenever possible, but be aware of your synthesis tool's limitations. The synthesis tool attribute and this particular coding style may be required to infer a specific resource. Now, most are inferable, but many resources are going to require you to instantiate those components, particularly with the core generator or the architecture wizard. And as you get to the newest and the latest, greatest resources, this becomes more likely the case that you'll have to instantiate. Take advantage of the synthesis options that are included with your tool, and be aware of the caveats associated with them. Use synchronous design techniques always to make sure your design runs reliably, but also use timing-driven synthesis to achieve higher performance. And that's probably the most powerful of the different synthesis options we've described. There are some very useful resources available to you on support.xilinx.com as well as within our documentation. The Synthesis and Simulation Design Guide discusses some of the same topics we've discussed here, so I encourage you to pore over it a little bit. The XST User Guide is very helpful for example inferences of architectural resources as well as example instantiations. This is often what is most helpful to customers, so I would strongly encourage you to check this document out. It also goes into more detail about all the synthesis options that we've discussed here with an XST. The Constraints Guide is very helpful as showing you how to enter synthesis timing constraints. As we mentioned, this is highly recommended if you want to synthesize your design for high speed. If you would like to see what other courses we offer or what other free RELs are available, go to the Xilinx Education link you see here. Don't forget to check out the HDL coding style RELs. They are very helpful and will greatly impact the speed of your finished design. Again, my name is Frank Nelson. You've been listening to the Synthesis Options Recorded e-learning. Again, thank you for listening and thank you for taking the time and thank you for your business.